What's unique about the program here in Denver that Paul and Peter have started is that they, first of all, their talent, where the agent is trying to enhance the ability of the talent, not only in acting, but writing. I don't know too many groups where they make the actors write their own scenes.
Well, you know, also, I was saying this to the class, and I mean it, even if you're not going to leave Denver, and you're maybe just going to do some local stuff, there's something therapeutic about acting. Being a housewife or a guy that's a bartender, or there's something therapeutic about it. You know, as an actor, I took singing classes for a couple of years. I've never auditioned for a musical or anything, and nobody even wants to hear me sing. But I enjoyed coming out of that class going, wow, that was kind of like therapeutic for some reason. And I wanted to say that, and I did say it to the class, that maybe you're not going to go be a movie star, or maybe you're just going to be locally here in Denver. But it's really different than just getting up every day, chasing the kids around, going to your job, and then it adds a dimension to your life that I think is exciting, and I like that. The writing also opens doors for people.
Well, very therapeutic.
Yeah, professionally and personally, it opens doors for people, and I think you have probably a better chance from outside of LA or New York being a writer than you do being an actor.
Being able to write, like write to act, like you, is the best way of advancing in the business. You know, everybody wants to be a star, you know, and everybody thinks they can direct, but if you can't write, it shows. It shows after page 2, you know. So the writing is the best way to move up in the business. We're always going to need writers.
If you're making it in your class, what's unique about it, if you're making actors work at writing, which is the hardest thing we all do, then that's the greatest service you can give them as human beings.
It's the greatest service for the business, too. If you're a good actor and you write a vehicle that Hollywood wants to make a movie out of, you will have something to say about it if you stick to your guns, if you really believe it. If you can sing and dance, go to New York, and if you can't, go to LA, but going to either without an agent, without representation, you're going to be spending most of your time trying to get representation. And if you had a one-person vehicle, or a little one-act play that you could do, or a little 20-minute movie that you wrote here, it might be, I'm not saying it's definite, but it might be a way of an introduction to an agent.
If you do the one act, you'd bring somebody like Dan in to direct it, or Joe Kakachi, who's worked before. I'm just using the names of guys I know, but I'm sure there's a ton of people that would come in, they'd fly into Denver, you know, for some honorarium or whatever, direct for a week or two, 4 or 5 one-acts, and you charge some money and people will show up and do it. And that advances your program in a number of ways, grant-wise, student-wise, and everything else. So yeah, that's what I don't understand, and I think that does move your program in Denver to its next level. The performing in front of total strangers who aren't these friends of theirs in the acting class is a different feeling than performing in front of people you see in a class every day.
Yeah. And I think you get a number of celebrities that come in for a 1-week I know Wendy Malick, I let her direct her first read. She'd never directed a reading even. She never directed anything. And she loved it so much. And the first thing I said to her, if I can get you a one-act at one of these festivals where you only had to go away for like maybe 10 days,
right,
would you direct it? She goes, oh, yeah, I'd like to try that. One act, maybe. You know what I mean? She wanted to get her feet wet. So
yeah, I have never directed.
You would be great. You'd have fun.
Fun to do it. And if you brought 2 people in, that like he and I get along so well, it would be fun for both of us to direct, because there's no pressure there, because you're going to have more than one director to do 5 or 6 one-acts.
Oh, I would do a director for each of them, and if you all know each other, we'd help each other out.
Or a couple of directors for 3 or 4 or whatever,
right.
And just the directors and each director would look over the other.
Yeah.
They would give notes. That's kind of fun too. I've never directed. I would gladly do it.
This is the 3rd time I've done this, so yeah. And Jay, you haven't. They go away sometimes up in the mountains, and we do this up in this. You know, I mean, we're out in this gorgeous setting. So this to me was a more practical one, because we were in a sound stage.
I don't have to stay at the Y next time?
No. Some of the people that here are still the same people, some new people. You know, and I thought the most interesting thing for me was there was somebody here that I thought 3 years ago, I said, this guy will never be able to, I even looked at Jay, said, this is going to be a tough one. We got to be encouraging because, you know, he's not a good actor. And he went up and boy, the difference.
He was fine.
He was fine. He was actually, and he was such an odd look that he probably has a little niche that he would fit in the practical sense in our business. So
I have seen probably more than half the people are talented enough to be professionals. Now that doesn't mean they can be or they're going to be or whatever. There's a big leap between for any of us there, you know, there and there. So that was encouraging. What you've given them is a great base. And I haven't actually been to Denver in a long time. Boulder I've been to, and the surrounding area, you know, Beaver Creek and all. But I've really looked at Boulder, and one of the things I'm going to suggest is that that you start with the tax credits for film here. And I think that this group could spearhead it. And I even spoke to one woman that works with you. And I said, you ought to start spearheading it because Denver is in better shape than New Orleans is, where I'm from.
Or Wyoming.
Where we have a huge film credit situation. And I think this group and the guys and women that run this should spearhead it. And once that happens, Denver will fly. You just once the state realizes how much money they can make, Denver will fly. This group is set to start that. And when I asked, why don't they shoot more movies here, I was told there's no tax credit. New Orleans, Louisiana has 57 movies planned for the next 18 months.
Right, and to me, Denver is a lot like Toronto. Toronto's near New York. It's near a pool of acting. And Toronto, the reason why it was so popular was not only the tax credit, it was easy to make Toronto look like other cities. You could make it look like Pittsburgh, you make it look like New York. When I was in New Orleans, it's very hard to make it look like other than New Orleans. Denver, as I'm walking around here, if you keep the mountains out of the shot and go down a street, it looks like, hell, that one street where your office was looked like the Village in New York. You know, you can make it look like other cities. It's very easy to make it look like L.A. if you wanted to. Why anybody would want to, I don't know.
What's better than Canada is, you know, that horrifying accent here.
Yeah.
Oh,
right, your small role.
Every actor sounds the same in Canada.
Yeah.
Every one of them. It's unbelievable. You know, cowboy, put them up, eh? You know, I never liked it. I don't go there.